All right, good morning, students. We're going to go over section 3.3, special right triangles. So the reason why they're special is there's two cases that we have. There's a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and then a 30, 60, 90 triangle. When we have these cases, what you'll see is the same constant shows up, which you should have gotten from the worksheet I gave you. If you look at it, so what it's saying in a 45, 45, 90, if we have two equal angles, then these two sides are the same. So whatever this side is, this leg is. The hypotenuse is just this side times the square root of 2. So for example, if this side were 5, then I know this side would be 5, and then this side would be 5 times the square root of 2. And that's how we'd write it. If we go to this one, okay, 30, 60, 90, the way I remember it is this angle, okay, or angle 60 is twice as big as angle 30. So when we go to it, you always start from your shortest side. Your hypotenuse is twice, 2 times whatever that side is, and then what we call our mid leg is the short side times the square root of 3. So again, if this side were, let's choose 5 again, then I know this side is 5 times the square root of 3, and this side would be 5 times 2, or 2 times 5, which would be 10. So this side, the hypotenuse is twice that of the shortest side. So we'll go through a couple of examples of these. Okay, so first one, on 45, 45, 90, okay, our rule was if I know this side, I'm going to multiply this side by 10. So we're going to do the inverse. So if I know the hypotenuse, instead of multiplying by the square root of 2, I'm going to divide 10 divided by the square root of 2. Now, I can't leave a radical in the denominator, so now we go ahead and simplify it. So we times this by the square root of 2, times this by the square root of 2. So it's 10 square root of 2 over the square root of 4. Okay? And then the square root of 4 is 2, so it'd be 10 square root of 2 over 2. So if you look at it, we multiplied to get rid of the radical, and then did it by getting 2. And then lastly, 10 divided by 2, which would be 5. So it would be 5 square root of 2. If we come over here, I know that this is my shortest side right here. That's my 30-degree angle, smallest angle, the side opposite, so that's my shortest. So to get to my hypotenuse, my longest side, I'm just going to take this and multiply it. So 5 square root of 3 times 2. So 2 times 5 is 10 square root of 3. To get to my mid side, I multiply my short side, so 5 square root of 3, and I multiply by the square root of 3. So the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 would be the square root of 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. So 5 times 3 is 15. So I know this side right here is 15. I know this side right here is 10 square root of 3. So a couple more examples of this. Right here, again, this right here is a 30, 60, 90. They give us the hypotenuse. So I always want to get the short side. So if I, given the hypotenuse, okay, this is my short side. So again, my rules, if I know my short side, I multiply by 2 to get my long side. I'm going to do the opposite. Instead of multiplying by 2, I'm going to divide by 2. So this would just be this. Divided by 2. So 4 divided by 2 would be 2 square root of 3. So that's my short side. JK is 2 square root of 3. So then I take my short side and I multiply it by the square root of 3. So again, square root of 3 times square root of 3 is the square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. So my mid side is 6. Here, okay, now they give us, this is right here is my hypotenuse. It's a 45, 45, 90, so I know the two legs are congruent. So if this side's 2 square root of 6, then this side's 2 square root of 6. If this side right, so then to get my hypotenuse, I just take this side, square root of 6, and times it by the square root of 2. So 2 times 6 is 12. Now just to point that out, we'd simplify out 12. So that's 3 times 4, which is 2 times 2. Square root means we need a group of 2. So it would be 2 square root of 3. for 12. So we go 2 times 2 square root of 3, which is 4 square root of 3. So that's what this side is, 4 square root of 3. The last thing I want to talk about is Pythagorean triples. Pythagorean triples are, if I were to apply the Pythagorean theorem, and I would get whole numbers to be my sides, that would be a Pythagorean triple. So for example, if I take 3, 4, and 5, I take my two shorter sides and I square them. They should be equals. They should equal the longest side squared. So that would be 9 plus 16, which is 25. 9 plus 16 is 25. So because they're equal, that would be a Pythagorean triple. If they're not equal, then they don't work. Okay? So I always take my two shortest sides. So if they're out of order, take your two shortest sides. So 5 squared plus 12 squared should equal my longest side squared. So 5 squared is 25. Plus 12 squared is 144, equals 13 squared, which is 169. 25 plus 144, yep, that is correct. So that's how I show, yep, since both sides are equal, they're a Pythagorean triple. Lastly, I go to my two shortest side squared, so 18 squared plus 15 squared equals 17 squared. So this is 64 plus 15 squared is 225 equals 289. So these two added together, yep, that equals 289. So I show, yep, that these are indeed Pythagorean triples. So that says, okay, use Pythagorean triples. So what's saying is these two sides, I should get a whole number answer for this. Two ways to look at it. So these are my two legs. This is my hypotenuse. So this would be like side C. So I go 18 squared plus 24 squared equals C squared. So when I go ahead and do 18 squared, that'd be 324. 24 squared is 600 or 576 equals C squared. So if I add those two together, that gives me 900 equals C squared. I take the square root of that, equals 30. So this side should be 30. So that's one way to go about doing it. Then the last one, okay, if we come through here, you have x, y, z. So it says x, y, z, it says x, y. So x, y, z. It says x, y is the hypotenuse. So it has a length of 68. Okay, it says xz has a length of x to z. There goes 32. We want to know, okay, what is the z to y? What's that? So we go our two shortest side squared, x squared plus 32 squared equals 68 squared. And then you can go from there, which I didn't do. So 32 squared is 1024. So x squared plus 1024 is equal to 68 times 68, 4,600. So then I would subtract it. So x squared would equal, and then take the square root of that. So x would equal 60, as I look at it. So just go through, and then once you get it done, a couple things I actually want to show you, actually a shortcut to this. So when we look at it, okay, one thing that you can look at is if I look at this, you can look at Pythagorean triples. This one's a little bit easier, but these are both divisible by 6. So if I divide this by 6 and this by 6, I would get 3. This side would be 4. Hey, it's a Pythagorean triple. 3, 4, and 5. So this is side 8. So it's just 6 times 3 gives you that. 6 times 4 gives you that. So it'd be 6 times 5, which gives you 30. You can do the same thing looking at that one as well.